You may start.
It's live or streaming.
Prabhu?
Should we begin?
Yeah, you can begin.
And will devotees chant the verse responsively?
No, Prabhu, that may be a little challenge in Zoom, so you can.
Okay.
We generally don't do, but yeah.
All right. Hare Krishna. Welcome, everyone. Today we'll be reading one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. If you'd like to follow along, it'll be in the third canto, chapter 23, text 56. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is text number 56. Nehayat karma dharmaya naviragaya kalpate natirtha pada sevayai jivanapi mrito hisa. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation, anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. Should we do a screen share, or is this okay as it is? How do you usually do it? Can anyone say? Should we do a...
If possible, devotees do screen share, Prabhu.
That's the best?
Sure, if you can.
Okay, let's try that. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. I'll read it again. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. Purport. Devahuti's statement is that since she was attached to living with her husband for sense gratification, which does not lead to liberation from material entanglement, her life was simply a waste of time. Any work one performs that does not lead to the state of religious life is useless activity. Everyone is by nature inclined to some sort of work, and when that work leads one to religious life, and religious life leads one to renunciation, and renunciation renunciation leads one to devotional service, one attains the perfection of work. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, any work that does not lead ultimately to the standard of devotional service is a cause of bondage in the material world. Yagnartat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Unless one is gradually elevated to the position of devotional service, beginning from his natural activity, he is to be considered a dead body. Work which does not lead one to the understanding of Krishna consciousness is considered useless. So we'll begin with some invocation prayers. See here. Anyhow. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just excuse me one moment. So I'll read this translation again. In the Sanskrit, Neha yat karma dharmaya na viragaya kalpate na tirthapada sevayai jivanapi mritto hisa. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, and whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So Hare Krishna, we offer our obeisances to all the devotees, asking for their blessings of all our superiors, Guru Jana. So we have a very wonderful section here. We're hearing Devahuti, and she is very much reflecting on her situation. And towards the end of this chapter, she's explaining that I feel like I've wasted my time. Has anyone ever felt that way? This verse says, anyone whose work is not meant to elevate us to religious life. So work, karma, there's many kinds of karma that we're doing. We have jobs, many. We're doing work. even if you aren't going into the office, still you're doing work. If we're at home, we're doing work. That we cannot remain even a moment. The Bhagavad Gita. Atutish Jasti Karmakrit. That everyone's working. One cannot cease working for even one moment. So we're always doing some work. And therefore that's developing some karma. But how can we do the akarma? That when you're working, but you're not generating material reaction. Working for elevation in religious life, in Krishna consciousness. Everything we do, we have to see how we can try to do that in a detached way. Because it says here, anyone who's even your religion, your religious practices, if it doesn't raise you to detachment, renunciation, vairagya, then this is also not going to give us life. It says it will make us considered to be dead. So all the work that we're doing it's meant to elevate us to religious life. It has to be in connection with Krishna. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishate. Everything is this manifestation of the absolute truth. So when we don't connect our activities with the absolute truth, we create a rift in that reality. That's called Maya or illusion. That plunges us into lower mode of consciousness, wherein we become victimized by material qualities, material consciousness, material urges, all of the lower qualities like depression, anger, material sadness, anxiety, and fear, dissatisfaction. These are all arising in the mind because we're not able to sufficiently connect our activities with Krishna. We're not doing sufficient yajna. So we know in the material world, if there's not yajna, there won't be rains. So in our spiritual life, if we're not doing sufficient yajna, there won't be that rain of mercy coming down, showering down. We need a big rain of mercy in our heart, in the garden, to nourish our bhakti creeper. So what causes that? Yajna, to do sacrifice. How much is our work a sacrifice? Everything is very properly meted out. Yayatamam prapadyante, to the degree we engage in that yajna, the sacrifice, to that degree, Krishna reciprocates. It's not so much a big mystery why someone is getting so much mercy and someone else, maybe we're not feeling the mercy. We have to see how much we are surrendering to the principle of sacrifice of yajna. We know Kali, Kaler, in this age of Kali, the Yuga Dharma is the Harinam Sankirtan Yajna, the sacrifice of chanting. But chanting will not manifest a result different from our lifestyle or our consciousness. It's not that, in other words, the way we live our life is intimately connected to our chanting experience. So again, this chanting of the holy names, it's not a ritual. It's not actually a religious ritual. It is the highest expression of our soul's need for God. That do we need Krishna when we're chanting? Are we chanting with a real need? Or have we delegated our chanting to a ritual? So anyone who's religious, ritualistic performances, so let's say we have some religious life, then this religious life, this is meant to raise us to renunciation. The idea is that we're getting a deeper taste in our religious rituals, our religious life. It's awakening a higher taste so that we become detached from the material taste. Devahuti here is lamenting she was attracted to her husband for sense gratification. But when there is a superior spiritual attraction, then naturally there is not desire for the material enjoyment. So that takes a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice to do that heart work, the inner work of the heart, to awaken the higher taste. It's not given automatically because we're very materially conditioned. Tamo, Raja, we have these lower modes of material nature. This is also, we know from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. Tada rajas tamo bhava kama loba dayas jaya cheta eter navidam stitam sattve prasidati. Effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust and desire and hankering, disappear from the heart. That's needed to be established in goodness and become completely happy. What to speak of Shuddha Sattva? What to speak, Prabhupada says the devotee is fixed in the mode of goodness and he makes further progress to rise to the position of Vasudeva, or the state of unmixed Sattva, or Shuddha Sattva. Only in this Shuddha Sattva state can one always see Krishna face to face by dint of pure affection. So to get rid of these lower qualities, passion and ignorance, which is covering the consciousness, this spiritual affinity has to awaken. That will naturally bring about vairagya, detachment, renunciation. That's a very scientific process. Anyone situated in renunciation, it does not lead one to devotional service. So I think in Christian consciousness, we don't have this concept, but sometimes it's a concept that just by being renounced or detached, then you are successful. No. That is an aid for your devotional service. That is an essential ingredient. We cannot render devotional service as long as we're materially attached. So the idea is not cut up and break up all your attachments. The idea is get attached to Krishna. Get attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. The Panchatattva broke open the storehouse of love of Godhead, and they freely distributed through the Sankirtan movement, chanting and dancing. And they want to inundate the whole world, not only Naperville or Illinois or this country or that country. In fact, the whole universe is meant to drown in this flood of transcendental mercy, this ocean of love of Godhead that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is spreading. It was brought by Sri Madhavendra Puri and then distributed to Sri Ishwara Puri, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, instructing his disciples, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami, the ghosts headed by 6 Goswamis, Rupa and Raghunath, passing down this knowledge through the different Acharyas, Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, then in more recent times, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji, Srila Bhakti Santa Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, who spread this everywhere, opening up these transcendental centers for distributing this, not anything else. There should be no other purpose to one's activities. And this also we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam. Life desires kamasya nindriya pritir labo jiveti avata jivasya tattva jigyasa narto yaschahi karma bhi. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. Since human being is meant for inquiry into the absolute truth, nothing else should be the goal of one's works. So our modern society will tell us there's so many goals to your work, so many things you should do and achieve. You should get the what are those called? I can't remember. You should get the latest style of car, latest house, all the latest gadgets. No, nothing else should be the goal of one's works. And then, very similar to what we're hearing here, Dharmas Vanustita Pumsang Vishvaksena Kata, this Hari Kata, Krishna Kata, Gaur Kata, Notpadi Adyatir Tim Shrameve Kevalam. It's only whatever we're doing is only useless waste, labor, if it does not provoke attraction. The message, the personality of Godhead, the pastimes of the Lord. So we're not just into detachment or renunciation, that is assisting us to develop attachment in our devotional service, that we're not just running service mechanically, but there's some taste, there's some real, hopefully, attraction, eventually some rasa, some nourishment that will come in awakening our soul, some special awakening in our soul. Yes, I want to serve. How can I serve? Some desire can awaken. How do you want to serve Krishna? So if this is not happening, in other words, this renunciation is not leading to devotional service, then one must be considered dead, although breathing. So Bhagavatam is very heavy. It's a wake-up call. It's a book to wake us up, not put us to sleep. One must be considered dead. So we could consider I'm dead. If I don't have Krishna, if I don't have love of God, it's like a dead body, right? That's what Srimad Bhagavatam saying, it must be considered like that. Although breathing, we breathe for so many things. We are so eager to satisfy our bodily needs. But how much are we worried about this need? How much are we really feeling the lamentation that, no, I don't have this? What is the use of what I'm doing? That will help give inspiration and nourishment, impetus to our spiritual life. Now, what we can hear also to help us is a little bit, I found this nice section, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his experience of attraction to Krishna. These are beautiful histories, real events. This is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one night went to the Jagannath Vallabha garden. As he thus wandered around every tree and creeper, he came beneath an ashok tree and suddenly saw Lord Krishna. When he saw Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began running very swiftly, but Krishna smiled and disappeared. Having gotten Krishna and then lost him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell to the ground unconscious. The entire garden was filled with the scent of Lord Krishna's transcendental body. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smelled it, he fell unconscious at once. But the scent of Krishna's body incessantly entered his nostrils, and the Lord became mad to relish it. Srimati Radharani once spoke a verse to her gopi friends describing how she hankers for the transcendental scent of Krishna's body. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited that same verse and made its meaning clear. The scent of Krishna's transcendental body surpasses the aroma of musk and attracts the minds of all women. The 8 lotus-like parts of his body distribute the fragrance of lotuses mixed with that camphor. His body is anointed with aromatic substances like musk, camphor, sandalwood, and aguru. Oh, my dear friends, that personality of Godhead, who is also known as the enchanter of Cupid, always increases the desire of my nostrils. So this is a very incredible experience that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining. The scent of Krishna's body surpasses the fragrances of musk and the bluish lotus flower. Spreading throughout the 14 worlds, it attracts everyone and makes the eyes of all women blind. My dear friend, the scent of Krishna's body enchants the entire world. It especially enters the nostrils of women and remains seated there. Thus it captures them and forcibly brings them to Krishna. Krishna's eyes, navel, face, hands, and feet are like 8 lotus flowers on his body. From those 8 lotuses emanate a fragrance like a mixture of camphor and lotus. That is the scent associated with his body. When sandalwood pulp is mixed with the gudu, kumkum, musk, and camphor and spread on Krishna's body, it combines with Krishna's own original bodily perfume and seems to cover it. So this is a brief description of the type of transcendental attraction that exists. Beyond the material attractions, there's the transcendental attractions. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, by his grace, by his presence, then we get access to the reality of Krishna and Krishna's world. This is explaining different aspects, just like we have our senses. And the problem is that they're engaged in material gratification, but there also exists the higher spiritual gratification, spiritual service of the senses. When the transcendental senses engage in the service of the Lord, and that is their proper function. And that's, Prabhupada says, this material body exists on the basis of the spiritual body. So it's like a covering. Therefore, in the material atmosphere, it's dragging us down. But on the higher reality of the soul, there are also senses. So how incredible this fragrance of Krishna's body. It's so intoxicating. Have you ever smelled something good? Yeah, like a rose or something. Wow. Krishna's body can fully bring one out of material existence. Like, just like the 4 Kumaras, just by smelling the tulasi, they transcended Brahman realization to become devotees. This is the power of that with which we are in contact. The reality of Krishna, the reality of Srimad Bhagavatam, the holy name, devotees. All of these are absolute. They have this transcendental supreme power to awaken the sleeping soul and to bring life to one who may be considered dead, although breathing. So we can discuss a little more of the purport, or we can also see if there's any questions. We have a nice number of devotees on the call. Maybe there's any questions so far. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
Okay, anyone like to ask anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very, very wonderful class. Actually, we are still feeling the fragrance of tulasi and the lotus. What all you explained, the camphor and all those things. Very nice explanation, Prabhuji. Very wonderful class. Yeah, we still feel that we are wasting the time. Even now, we are feeling like if there are like 24 hours in a day, how much are we using for the Krishna consciousness or the what we have to do, the reading or the studying or listening. And in that 2 hours also, how much we are focusing. That's what I'm thinking, because the other hours, we are not even thinking about that. Even if we sit to listen to a class, or if we sit to do a japa, or if we sit to listen a lecture, something, how much of that part of that consciousness we are having completely focused on Krishna. That's what I'm thinking in my mind, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, very, very wonderful class.
No, thank you so much, Bhataji.
Dandavat
Yes,
pranam.
Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are giving the great privilege, the great honor for
Yeah.
each one of us to become our full potential.
Yeah,
reach
and
our
the limitations we have, it is a Kalikala and Gruhasthashrama and taking care of the family and the business, all these things we have to keep aside, and at least for few hours we sit in that altar to focus. These thoughts are taking away that focus also, Prabhuji. So that's the worst thing that's happening. That's what I feel. We are trying to sit, we are trying to keep our bodies there. The minds are wandering here and there. So
Yes, this is why Prabhupada was emphasizing the grihastas morning and evening
mhm.
must come together and do kirtan.
Yeah, yeah.
That means before the day starts, coming together, the family, they can chant, they can hear. It creates a certain atmosphere in the home. And then they go all day, do their work, study, school, everything. Then back again in evening. It's like there's the
Yeah,
pre and the post. You have a
yeah.
pre-workout, a post-workout.
Mm-hmm.
So if before the day starts, there's some nice spiritual atmosphere, spiritual activity that give energy for the difficult activities of the day. And after the day is over, again, we need to bring the mind back, coming before the deity, either at home in the temple. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
idea of the family. The family becomes like a team, like a unit. Because as we said, the process is Sankirtan.
Yeah.
You have to come together. So if you have family, that's helpful for your Sankirtan. You have a Sankirtan team. You have a Sankirtan group already. So you have to come and engage everyone in the yagya, in the Yuga Dharma. Not to be done alone. That's the thing. You cannot do Sankirtan alone. Sankirtan means congregation together. So then in the evening, after a long day, difficult day, stressing day, coming back, putting the mind in the right place, chanting, remembering, then that sets the stage for pleasant evening. I know it's probably easier said than done, but at least this is the standard, this is the ideal that Prabhupada wanted.
Yeah,
Thank you
Prabhuji.
for sharing, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very one. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else like to comment or inquire, question, comment? No? So we have a little more time. We'll just go through a little bit of this purport. Devahuti's statement is that since she was attached to living with her husband for sense gratification, which does not lead to liberation from material entanglement, her life was simply a waste of time. Any work one performs that does not lead to the stage of religious life is useless activity. Everyone is by nature inclined to some sort of work. And when that work leads one to religious life, and religious life leads one to renunciation leads one to devotional service, one attains the perfection of work. So it's really the art of work. We have to understand why we're doing what we're doing. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, any work that does not lead ultimately to the standard devotional service is a kind of bondage. Unless one is gradually elevated to the position of devotional service, beginning from his natural activity, is to be considered a dead body. Work which does not lead one to the understanding of Krishna consciousness is considered useless. Yes, so Prabhupada is very just directly kind of restated this verse, mentioning Bhagavad Gita. And this reminds us very much of this verse, Dharma Sanushtita Pumsang, whatever Dharma we're doing, if it doesn't increase this Vishvakshena Kata, Krishna Kata, it's like a useless waste of time. So we can try to minimize those activities which do not awaken this attraction and maximize those that do. We can look in our life and see in what areas can I reduce certain activities which are not awakening my attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. What are those things as Maharaj says, time wasters. We have to continually refine and refine. Try to free up more and more from these time wasters, things, distractions. It takes a strong effort, strong determination, we could say rigorous dedication to free up some more time in our day, to give up some things we don't need to be doing, so we can avail ourselves to the higher taste, like the nectar, the honey. We have these honey jars all over the place. Many of you have full sets of Prabhupada's books and even other books. I've seen many sets of His Shiva Maharaj's books in devotees' houses. But these are like the jars of honey and nectar that we have around. But are we getting the chance and time to open them and taste? They're not just decorative. So much sweetness is there. But that will take some determination to do it. I don't think it's so much that we don't have the time. It's really the determination. Everyone has time. Everyone has 24 hours. But our will of how to spend that time, that's what was up to us. So Prabhupada is talking in the purport about this concentrated and extended selfishness. Concentrated selfishness centers around the personal body. Extended selfishness is manifest in human society and centers around family, society, community, nation, and world, with a view to gross bodily comfort. But above the body and mind is the dormant spirit soul. So we need to try to satisfy the needs of the soul. The soul is hungry. The soul is very thirsty. Many of you are very expert in cooking. You can make heavenly preparations, very elaborate courses, feasts. But the soul is very, very hungry. And this prasadam will nourish the body and give us mercy. But the soul is very, very hungry and thirsty for this kind of kata, these descriptions of the absolute truth. That's a big feast for the soul. And if the soul is feasting, then the body's needs, they're not so as important as we imagine. Without knowing the need of the dormant soul, one cannot be happy simply with the emolument of the body and the mind. The body and the mind are but superfluous outer coverings of the spirit soul. The spirit soul's needs must be fulfilled. So which body are we fulfilling? Are we serving? We need to serve the spiritual aspect. Simply by cleansing the cage of the bird, one does not satisfy the bird. One must actually know the needs of the bird himself. So we want to taste this nectar and become immortal. Asato ma sadgama tamasi ma jyotirgama mrito ma amritagama. Don't stay in death, but attain immortality. This is what the Vedas, the Vedic aphorisms, they basically teach the soul, don't stay in ignorance, come to light. Don't stay in asat, but come to sat. Don't keep taking material bodies, but attain immortality. The Upanishads say you were born from nectar. So this is we could say the hidden aspect of our identity, just like in Halloween, everyone puts on a mask, or in the drama, everyone takes a different role, and it's fun, it's a big laugh, funny costumes. You can be something totally crazy. You can be a big monster, or you can be a big whatever you want. But it's just a costume. So similarly, this material world, we put on these costumes. Yeah, these are just costumes. It's not really who we are. And we're playing in this drama of the material world, taking up different acts or roles. Like in the drama, there's the role. Okay, now you be the chef and you cook the meal. Okay. So we're taking on these roles now. Okay, this is what I should do in this scene. But one must know the needs of the bird himself. After the drama, they take off the costume. So all our work in this world, intense endeavor, eventually, we have to take off this costume. Then who am I? Who's the bird? Who am I really? Was I able to feed the bird? Or was I just too much absorbed in the drama, in my role, in my costume? I got so much into it that I forgot to who I was. Yes, so our philosophy is very, very deep. We need to carefully get absorbed in it so we don't just get too absorbed in this asat, get too absorbed in the appearance aspect, forgetting the real nature of the soul. This philosophy is so deep that it will gradually influence every part of our day. Not only when we come to temple or chanting, no, every part of our day, we start to see the world differently. This is the sign that the philosophy is becoming more application. It's changing the way we see the world, this whole material world, this whole universe. Who am I? I'm not of this universe. I'm not this body. So then we see the world differently. We see others differently. We see ourselves differently. Then we can prioritize more to serve ourselves. We're hearing about selfishness. There's concentrated and extended selfishness. Those are existing when we forget who the self is. If we know who is the self, there's a divine need to take care of the needs of the self. That's not bad or wrong or sinful. To take care of the spirit self, yes, to serve the needs of the soul. Soul also has needs, just like there's some nice prayers. I like very much some few verses from the Ishopanishad. Let us chant one verse here. Om Kratos Smara Kritam Smara Kratos Smara Kritam Smara. Let this temporary body be burnt to ashes. Let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I've done for you. Vayor anilam amritam tidam bashmatan shariram om kratos smarakrita smarakritam smarakrita smara. At the end of life, this is what will happen. The body will be burned to ashes, the life air merged, the totality of air. All we will have is what we've done for Krishna. And yes, isn't it? That's all we can say we really have. So it's a reminder, let's try to take full advantage this lifetime where we have access to this transcendental knowledge. It's Divya Gyanam. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena. It can open our eyes from the blindness, the darkness of ignorance, and give real light. Should not trust our eyes too much. Only what we see taking that to be the reality. We have to trust the Shastra, the Shruti, Smriti, the Veda. This is the real way of seeing. Shastra Chakshu. We can see through the eyes of knowledge that we get from Shastra, not through these fleshy eyes, material vision. That will cheat us because we've not sufficiently heard. Shushu Shoshradadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanan. So again and again, the process of hearing is glorified throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. And we can meditate again and again on these very profound verses. Yes. Shushushro Shradadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi. One who's engaged in hearing with care and attention the message of Godhead, it becomes possible by this Mahat Seva. So this Mahat Seva that we're doing, service to great Vaishnavas, to devotees, to the spiritual master, it's meant for awakening this affinity for the messages of Krishna. That Seva is meant to awaken this Vasudeva Kataruchi, this increase of taste. We have to give ourselves the opportunity. It's like going up, filling up the car, filling up in the gas tank. Now you have a full tank. So now you can go. But if we just fill up and stay in the parking lot, stay in the gas station, we did not get the full advantage. Twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So many points can be discussed, but I think our time is running low. I'm going to stop here, and I'll just see again if anyone wanted to ask any question or comment before we conclude. I don't know if anyone's there.
Yes, Prabhuji, we are still here. As you said, with your lecture, the hunger of the soul has thirst and everything has quenched a bit. That's what I'm feeling because you
That's
give
good.
us a...
Feel the hunger. We're
Yes,
very hungry.
yes.
We think we're full. We might
Yeah.
be an illusion. We're
No,
very
no.
hungry and thirsty.
Mm.
And there's a big feast
Mm-hmm.
here in the pages of
Yeah,
Bhagavatam.
all the honey jars, as you said, the books are there. They are not a decoration. We have to open and at least try to look into that. Once we get into that channel, we'll be attracted automatically. That's what I feel. Only the starting point, few
Yes.
steps are hard. From there, it will pull us on its
Yes,
own with the connection.
it's like a river, like you said, the flow, the
Yes.
current. You just have to get in the river. That current will pull you.
Yeah.
Our job to get in the current, put the feet down, walk a little,
Yeah.
then that current can take us.
Just make the time at least like half an hour or 1 hour every day to sit in one place.
Yes,
Then-
exactly.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Start with what's manageable, maybe even 20 minutes, and then we
Yeah.
can build up. But try to do every day,
Hmm.
then become a habit.
Sure.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? We'll end here then.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I echo Mataji. This is a nice wake up call. And very thank you for for emphasizing that we know, but we need this reminder every so often. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the opportunity for service. Kindly forgive me for any mistakes or offenses. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru, and Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam.
Jai.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada.